Likutei Torah, Parshas Behalotcha, page Lamed Daled, second column, Ois Daled. Ois Gimel basically was a whole one long parenthesis. Lamed Daled, Ois Daled, second column. Al Rebbe is explaining that there is the Ner, there is the menorah, there is the flame. The neshamas Yisrael are the kelim. The mitzvahs are the oil, the stuff. And then the Torah is the flame that keeps it all together. So he says now, and he says you need to have the enjoyment of doing mitzvahs like you would from Gashmistic things. No. Okay, not only Tanya, in different places it says different things. It depends what they're talking about. Everything is relative. That's the whole concept of making a bracha before doing a mitzvah. We say, Asher ketshanu b'mitzvah. Simply means, he who commanded us, that he commanded us, that he sanctified with his mitzvahs. But he says, Asher, comes from the word Asher yesh v'visacha. Fortunate, which is Lashon Shvach v'Hillel al davar ha'meshubach u'mahulo. Ashrei means to praise something which is praisable. So Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvahs, it doesn't only mean that he commanded us doing the mitzvahs. Hainu, what does it mean? Ashrei eineg ha'elyon. This great level of tainug, ha'meshubach, which is praiseworthy. Kidshanu b'eineg zeh, and Hashem sanctified us with that tainug, which is the level of Kaddish Umuvdal, which is separated, because the word Kaddish is Lashon Havdalah. The word Kedusha means separated. That's what the word Kedusha means. So the Alter Rebbe is explaining, we learned that some mitzvahs basically bring down the oinig, the pleasure, like he said, Nachas Ruach Afoneh Shamarti V'Naseh B'Tzeini, that mitzvahs are we do the will of Hashem. From there Hashem is tremendous satisfaction and einig, and that's what we say in the bracha. Asher, praiseworthy is the fact that Kidshanu, that he separated us from the rest of the world. That's why the Malachim say 3 times Kaddish. What does it mean? Hashem is above, really dealing with the world. That level of Ashrei, meaning a level of pleasure and einig of Hashem, which is higher than world, like you said before, it's not intellect, it's not even willpower, it's einig, which is the essence of the person. That level comes in a way that he sanctified us, means he separated us. Through doing mitzvahs, we reach a level of godliness that can never be in the world. By fulfilling mitzvahs. He is Baruch the will of Hashem. That the ultimate pleasure of Hashem is in them. Even though normally this level of pleasure cannot come into the world, it's infinite. It's an infinite revelation, cannot come into a finite world. Nevertheless, granted this einig is too great to come into the world. But there's a Gemara Allah that says, taking something through something else, that means if I take something through tongues, even though I'm not holding the object, but it's like I'm holding it. So the same thing, we get this einig through the mitzvah. The mitzvah is through the mitzvah we hold on to this level of einig. It's like a guy has a treasure, in a box, diamonds, gold, jewelry, whatever. When the guy picks up the box, he picks up the whole treasure. He's picking up a box, not the treasure. But by picking up the box, because the treasure is in it, you pick it up. So he says the same thing with a mitzvah. When a Jew does a mitzvah, they hold on to a level of godliness that's impossible to come into the world. It's impossible to come into the world because it's too infinite. It's too great. The only way a person could do it is Asher, we're praising Hashem, that that He separated us, that by us doing mitzvahs, we reveal the essence of Hashem down here in the world. What? Right. There's no bracha for negative commandments. Because negative commandments don't bring Kedusha into the world. Positive mitzvahs, action, brings Kedusha in the world. Negative mitzvahs, not eating pig, doesn't bring Kedusha into the world because you're not doing anything.
But you're following Torah.
You're following Torah. The problem is, the mitzvah is, when you don't eat chazer, which is shoshim satmeis, evil, right? So then, if you don't feed it, it gets weakened. When a person, chas v'sholem, eats chazer, so then they're strengthening chazer, they're strengthening evil. So, but you don't bring kedusha into the world by a negative mitzvah.
It's still a mitzvah, right?
You avoid tuma to come to the world.
Rabbi, it's still a mitzvah, isn't it? By following the Torah, you're still observing a mitzvah.
Are you observing a mitzvah,
Yeah,
or you're not desecrating a mitzvah?
But at the same time,
If you're saying about, is it an action mitzvah? No, it's not. It's a negative commandment.
Prevent tuma to come.
Correct.
And defile the kedusha.
Correct.
That's an action.
But you're not, it's not an action. You're not eating chazer.
that's good. But you
No,
still-
I'm not talking about the case of eating chazal, but there are other.
I'm saying any negative commandment is not an action. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So you're not doing it, actually, not doing it.
Well, Rabbi, the action is you're following Torah.
Right to the Maisa. Yes, but are you doing an action?
No.
Okay, so you don't bring Kedusha into the world. The koyach to bring down into the world the level of pleasure that Hashem has, the infinite level of godliness into the world. Nitna Yisrael dafka. Only Yidden have it, not angels. Angels don't have mitzvahs. Only Yid, that's what we say in the bracha. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvahsav. Fortunate that we bring down us. Mashen ken ha-malachim, when the malachim said, Bikshu t'noheitcha l'shamayim, when the malachim wanted to get Torah, right, the Gemara tells in Shabbos, that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to heaven, the malachim said, Hashem, give us the Torah. Why wasn't it given to the angels? Because Yidden olu machshava pnimis ha'ilams. Because the Yidden come from an infinitely greater level. Yidden neshamas come from the level of thought, which is one with the person. Therefore, neshamas are one with Hashem. Malachim came from Dibur. Either the different medrashim, the malachim, whatever. But the bottom line is, they come from Dibur, not from Machshava. Lachein ein koyach behem la'amshich ein ga'alyin. B'asiyas ha-mitzvahs kiem Yisrael daf. Therefore, malachim don't have mitzvahs, only Yidden have mitzvahs. And by the way, that's only in the neshama, in the body, not in Gan Eden.
When Hashem sends the malach to do something, that's not a mitzvah?
No. He has no choice. He has no choice.
He's got to do it.
There's no desire to do opposite.
Automatic.
Right.
The Rabbi doesn't even apply to them, to the malachim, because you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't, all those things that it's...
Because it was given dafka to neshamas in a body who have free choice to do or not to do. Okay, and neshamas dafka kuruyim ned. Therefore, the neshamas are called ned. Like you said before, neshamas are the kelim, the kibo. The kaba is a shemetz hapsila. of ner mitzvah sheyum shirbehem v'ayodem ein egal yenahu. So this is the mile of Yidden over Malachim. Okay, Malachim cannot bring Kedusha into the world, but Neshamas could, and he said that's the bracha shekidshanu b'mitzveisav. Okay, what does it mean, kidshanu? K'me'arei at mekudeshesli. Similar to the concept of Kedusha. When a man gives a ring to a woman, okay, she is now bound to him. So Hashem gave us, Hashem is the Chasam, we're the Kala. Hashem sanctified us, meaning He did Kedushin, that we are, so to speak, married to Him. Shabracha yadah. Shana, what is the bracha asher kidshanu? We're thanking Hashem Asher, right? Shenatan koyach zel Yisrael dafke. Hashem gave this koyach to the Yidden, lahamshich ein ga'elyon, b'kiyam mitzveisav. By doing the mitzvahs, we have this ability to connect to the essence of Hashem. More than the malachim. The malachim can't do it, and we do it.
If that's the case, so when the malach comes to one Jew, and the Jew is studying or doing a mitzvah, the malach should just...
He does.
And why 10 people?
10 people and they're doing nothing.
Are just sitting there?
Just sitting. Tamal Jews is the Kedusha, even if they're not doing mitzvahs. One mitzvah, doing a mitzvah, the malach can be there. Who brings down this Kedusha? Who feeds us this level of Kedusha? Like you said, the Zayin Reim. Sha'ol of Nemetza Balois Chasaneres. What does it mean, Balois Chasaneres? Shehu a miles neshamis. Aaron HaKohen, Balois means to elevate. It doesn't only mean to kindle. Then we'll say lahadlik. Balois means aliyah, to elevate the Jew to a higher level. Elmo Pnei Amenera. Parentheses and a lot of parentheses here.
Does going has anything to do with elevating the word?
No. The role of the... Okay, go to the next page, 68, about 10, 15 lines from top. The role of a non-Jew, Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Ner, is to civilize the world. That's it. They don't bring Kedusha in. They don't run the business.
Yeah, the Rebbe says the reason that God gives create the world every day is for us to be able to join Him to create, to have a share.
Right.
Create. Does the going have anything to do with creating the world?
No. They don't become a partner with Hashem in creation. No. I'll give you a simple example. In order for a guy to run a business, he needs an office, he needs a desk, a chair, a computer, a this, a that, whatever it is, yeah? Are you going to say the janitor that cleans the room and makes it usable is a partner in the business? No. He's important because if the room's a mess, the guy can't function. Well, a lot of people do function in a mess. But normally, you need a guy that planted the tree. It goes all the way back. You need a guy that planted the tree to be able to chop down the tree, to make the tree into furniture, and until it gets to the desk. You know what I mean? Until it gets into the office. There's a lot of people involved to make that office usable. So again, is the guy that organizes, or even for that matter, the secretary that organizes everything, yeah? They're not partners in the business. What?
But this whole universe, the whole world is so vast.
Yeah.
Why would God be preoccupied or assign only a small number of people to clean up a small infantile percentage of this whole world?
No, the Jew, every Jew doesn't do an infantile, doesn't do
Most
it.
of the Jews don't even care about doing the mitzvot anyway.
Don't say that.
Most Jews don't.
No, they're not aware of it. They're not aware that they care.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? There's a big difference.
And they're not doing it. They're
Where
not
else?
doing anything to clean up the world like...
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Cleaning.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Who's worse? We who know what's supposed to be done and we don't do it? Or those people that don't even know what's supposed to be done? Who's worse? Okay, so stop complaining. We're worse than them.
No, I'm saying it seems so incongruous that you're saying God assigned only the Jews to clean up the world, so to speak. And I'm saying, but the world is so big, and He assigned it to a small fraction that are totally disenfranchised from the rest of the world. For the most part, the Eastern world, the African, and for millennia, they were totally unaware of what we were doing. So what? If our mission is to clean up the world, why just such a small number and such a small area of the world?
Because a little light dispels a lot of darkness.
But it doesn't get there, right?
It does. You don't know because you don't
It's
see.
not getting there, Rabbi.
It is.
For millennia, it wasn't getting there.
How do you know it's not getting there? Do you see holiness to know how much holiness is in the world? Well, you don't see. I don't see. We don't see. Tzaddikim see. Do you see what you accomplish when you put on tefillin every day?
No.
Does that mean there's no accomplishment? You put on tefillin every day, yeah? One second. Not every day, except Shabbos.
Rabbi.
When you put on, one second. When you put on tefillin, you are bringing down the infinite level of God into this physical world. Yes? Do you see it? No. That doesn't mean it's not there. Because me and you don't see it, it's like, again, it's put into a trust fund. Just because we don't even realize it there doesn't... Rabbi Tversky always told the story. He had a direct deposit from this business into the bank. So one time he forgot about the direct deposit. And then he's writing checks, and he went crazy because he's going to be overdrawn. Okay? He was going crazy for days, and then he realized there's plenty of money in the bank. Now, because he didn't realize, and therefore he was going crazy, there was no money in the bank, there was money in the bank. He didn't know about it. That's his problem. It doesn't mean there's no money in the bank. A Jew does a mitzvah, no matter what the mitzvah is. Yeah? A Jew brings down an infinite level of kedusha that normally cannot come into the world.
But you have to awaken consciousness.
That's what we do. That's what Chabad does for a living.
Didn't we introduce the concept of monotheism?
About what? I'm sorry, what?
Monotheism.
Yeah.
So half of the world.
And the Rambam writes, it's in the censored Rambam, but now they put it back in a lot of prints of Rambam. The Rambam writes about Yoshka, J.C. Penney, and Muhammad. He said, what did Hashem do that for? So the Rambam writes, it's all the way down, Hilchos Malachim, but it was censored. The Rambam writes, the inyan of Muhammad was to bring the concept of a prophet to the masses. The inyan of Yoshka, why did Hashem make this concept of a Yoshka? To bring the concept of a Mashiach, the wrong one, but a Mashiach to the world.
All of them together, they're still maybe 60% of the world.
Yeah.
What about the other 40%?
And what percent are we?
You're about 1%, less than 1%.
Okay, and yet we are doing the job of why Hashem created the world.
Still, there are a lot of them that are totally unaware.
Okay, so make them aware. You meet a Jew, why did Hashem make you meet this Jew? Not because of whatever, because Hashem wants you to speak to him about Yiddishkeit. Ask him to put on tefillin. Ask him to light Shabbos candles. Ask him to do a mitzvah. That's why you meet them. So we blow it. That's what he said. In a certain way, we are worse than the people that are unaware of Yiddishkeit. They don't know. We know and we don't do it.
Have we heard the Aseret Gurut number 3 to 10 from Hashem directly? Listen to Moshe Rabbeinu.
No, we heard it straight from Hashem. Hashem said all 10 simultaneously. Then he repeated them. Then when he repeated them, so a lot of different midrashim would happen. No. Will we have a Yetzer Hara?
Would we have it, had we heard it directly from Hashem?
We still have a Yetzer Hara, because the whole purpose of Matan Torah is that you have a Yetzer Hara.
Right, but have we heard the whole thing?
Wouldn't have changed.
Rabbi, you said that angels have no choice. We know that.
Correct.
How does, in the history, does those two angels decided to stay? How did they?
Okay,
How did they decide if they have no choice?
there is a mimer from the Rebbe Marash that there's another story. There's a malach called Matat, and he did something wrong, and Afkula Matat, it says they took Matat out and they whipped him. Obviously, it's not physical. So the Rebbe Marash writes in the mimer, how is it possible that malach sin? He doesn't have a Yetzer Hara. So yeah, there's a lot of different answers. One answer is that malach is once in the neshama, and therefore he still had free choice to sin. It's possible because
He made a mistake. I mean, something happened in heaven.
nobody makes mistakes. Hashem doesn't make mistakes. We make mistakes. I'll never forget in the 60s, but I went to the encounter with Chabad, somebody else, Zalman Posner, who was speaking then. Does the Rebbe make mistakes? So he answered, on the spot, he answered, not one that me and you are going to catch. And then, a group of kids were in the Rebbe's room. In the earlier years, the Rebbe there used to be groups of college kids coming into the Rebbe's room. The Rebbe would speak to them. And they would ask the Rebbe questions. So they saw an erase. The Rebbe Bechal didn't write with pen. The Rebbe usually wrote with answers of the letters. The Rebbe signed his name with a pen, but normally it came out with pencils. So they saw a pencil with an eraser that was used. You know, the eraser was used on the Rebbe's desk. So they asked the Rebbe, we were told by your Chassidim that you don't make mistakes. So how come you have an eraser? An eraser means you erase something, you made a mistake. So the Rebbe answered, phenomenal. The Rebbe didn't say, yeah, I make mistakes. The Rebbe said, sometimes the purpose of an eraser is not that you made a mistake, but you want to write something better. Not what you wrote is wrong, but what you want to write something better. So that's not called a mistake. Understand? It's a very interesting concept. Okay, so back at 68 to like 12 lines down. So this all explains the ner of the neshama and the ner of the mitzvah. Right? The neshama is the menorah, the keli, and the mitzvah is the oil and all that. So what does it mean Torah or? Now we need to explain the third thing Torah or. Torah comes from the level of Chochmah. For Chochmah yesh ba gilu hatainuk, and Chochmah has the gilu of tainuk k'neidak shenei falei davar Chochmah sa'adam. When something intelligent falls into the person's head, mismales simcha v'tainuk, he gets full of joy. Or like you find somebody had a big question in learning, let's say, and they finally get the answer, so they're beaming like. Or like the Gemara says, it says in Zohar that Rabbi Abba tzav upon his face was beaming. They asked him, what are you beaming out? They said he found a new brais he never knew before. So it comes into the person. There comes into the head. In other words, what reveals that level of the tainug that we get through mitzvahs, it becomes revealed through Torah, which is Chochmah. This tainug, in other Torah is the flame, like he said before, that reveals the oil and the wick and the keli and all that. The Torah reveals that level of tainug that the neshama has.